Okay. I think we are here. I think we are here. I think we are here. Hello. All right. I think we are here. I am so excited to be here. Tonight. It is a quick Q&A to talk with you about the upcoming beginning mediumship class. And I am absolutely thrilled to welcome you all and to answer any of your questions. So this is really exciting for me, and really exciting for me to share this with you. And I have been, people have been asking me, come and teach this class. It's overdue. We want you to teach this class. And, when are you going to teach beginning mediumship? So here we are, we're teaching beginning mediumship. So I'm really excited, and I hope that you all will come and consider joining us. So I am Sherry Dworkin-Smith. If you are following me or looking at, this video, you probably know who I am. I am a certified psychic medium, a certified grief educator and coach, and a transpersonal hypnotherapist. And I am so excited to be sharing a little bit about the beginning mediumship class. The class is going to be intentionally small. So the tickets are on sale now, and it's already about half full. So if you're thinking about joining us, it starts next Tuesday. If you're thinking about it, please consider getting your tickets sooner rather than later so that you are not sold out, because like I said, we are keeping the class intentionally small. I wanted to offer the Q&A so you had the opportunity to come in and ask any questions about, what is mediumship? Am I going to have to be a medium? And no, you don't. And so I really wanted to make sure that I am answering any questions and just putting it out there so that you all can feel safe, supported, and comfortable in this, because mediumship is for everyone. Mediumship is for everyone. And having a beginning mediumship class or taking a beginning mediumship class is not mean that you're going to necessarily become a medium, but it has so many different things that can help you in general life, intuition, in tuning into signs and signals and spirit, and just understanding yourself better. Okay, that's where we start. So let me start actually with what is the difference between mediumship and psychic work, right? Because I get that question all the time. Mediumship is about communicating with our loved ones who have passed to spirit. Okay, that doesn't mean we're going to just start talking with dead people all day. It's not going to be like, Whoopi Goldberg at the Ghost, where all the people came in and they're all trying to talk with her. Okay, beginning mediumship is understanding that we have the ability to connect with our own loved ones in spirit. We don't have to be talking to everybody else's loved ones, but we do have the opportunity to make those connections to our loved ones in spirit, to have a stronger connection with them. Just because they have passed from the physical world doesn't mean that they're gone, and to be able to have that connection. So mediumship is connecting with those who are in the spirit world and being able to have that connection and communication, to ask questions, to get answers, that kind of thing. Psychic work is about you. It's not about people who work here and are not now. Psychic work is about you. It's about what possibilities, your potentialities, what's going on in your life, in your world, what might be coming up for you. And the important part about psychic information is it's not there to tell you what to do. It's there to help you feel like you can make an informed choice because you have some information that maybe was not readily available. Okay, it's not about the lottery numbers or anything like that. It's not about who's going to win the World Cup, though I know we'd all like to know that. It really is about knowing what else is out in your energy, what might be coming up for you, so that you can make informed decisions. Now, can anybody learn mediumship? Yes, absolutely. Anybody can learn mediumship. That is an easy answer. Now, there asterisk there, the footnote there, is a difference between natural talent and consistent development. So let's say I started taking piano lessons. I can learn to take piano lessons. I can learn to play the piano. That doesn't mean I'm going to become a concert pianist or have this unbelievable natural talent. And it's the same with anything. If you look at my family's a soccer family. We've been watching the World Cup, and we watched Lionel Messi, who plays for the Miami football club, and he scored a hat trick, 3 goals. At 39 years old, he scored 3 goals last night in the World Cup. And I mean, that's insane. He has an absolute natural ability for soccer. Okay. Can anybody learn to play soccer? Absolutely. But there is a very big difference between that natural ability and that development. So we're going to have a beginning mediumship class. It's 6 weeks, okay, about 90 minutes a class, and it's live. It's a Zoom. It's with people talking, discussing, and not everybody who takes the class, or not everyone who takes any mediumship class, is guaranteed to become the next Tyler Henry or John Holland or whoever. Okay, it is about natural talent, and some people are always going to have more in some areas than others, but we all can learn to develop an ability to connect with our loved ones in spirit. Now, people say, well, it's a 6-week class. That's a great question. Lauren says, I'd love to do this, but it's just going to be in the air. So traveling, yay. It's a 6-week class. So it's going to be 6 Tuesdays in a row. It's all at the same time. The classes will be recorded. So if you miss one, we can totally send you the recording. So we'd love to have you with us, Lauren. So if you can't make it to one particular class, please don't worry. It's 6 weeks. It's from 7 to 8:30 starting next Tuesday, the 23rd. And it's about 90 minutes to 2 hours a class, depending, because I don't want to cut short our discussion time. So if it's something that you were thinking about doing, but you can't attend all 6 classes, not even to worry. We're going to have the classes recorded, and we will send those out as to people for that as well. So one of the questions I get a lot is somebody like, let's say, Tyler Henry. Why are some people more naturally gifted than others? Well, the same as learning to play the piano, right? Some people may be more gifted than others. Some people have that natural ability. Some people may have had an incident or a near-death experience or something in their lives that said, hey, we open up these pathways because we had what's called an NDE, a near-death experience, or maybe a severe car crash, or, hopefully not too severe, but a serious car crash that just shook something open in you. So those kinds of things can open our senses up to the spirit world. The same as if we were to, so I don't know anyone who's ever had kids, women who've carried a baby. After my children were born, after I had 2 pregnancies, I can't do spinny rides at, let's say, Disney World, the teacups. Nope, can't even look at them. Okay. Or I can't eat certain foods because I can't smell certain things. So some people talk about that as it pertains to long COVID, that they can't taste certain things after a while. So we can have these experiences which can heighten or dull different senses that have been part of shaping our lives. So it could be a lot of reasons why some people tend to seem like they're more naturally gifted in anything. Some things just come more naturally to them than other things. So, for example, we talked about Lionel Messi. I mean, he is an amazing soccer player. I am sure that there are some other things that he's not naturally gifted at. And we all have different abilities. And the key is finding your strengths, finding the thing that is your natural ability and using that to enhance all the others. Okay. So people always ask, how does spirit communicate? Well, there's a lot of different ways. And some people will talk about, seeing birds, cardinals, red cardinals, right? Butterflies, dragonflies, right? We have a lot of signs or symbols, things that may come across our path from spirit. A loved one in spirit may send us a butterfly, may send us. I have one lady, one client that I work with, her grandmother had a real sense of humor and sends her gum on her shoe. Okay. And it doesn't always, like a big glob that gets all messy and gross, but just like a glob of gum that she's aware of in her walking around day-to-day stuff. So spirit does have a sense of humor. If your loved ones here had a sense of humor, guess what? They still have a sense of humor in the spirit world. So they can also communicate with us through what we call the clairs. You may have heard of some of these: clairaudient, clear hearing, right? Clairvoyant, clear seeing; claircognizant, clear knowing, right? Or clairsentient, similar. They can communicate to us through dreams, could be memories, Could be thoughts that just pop into our heads. There's a lot of different ways that spirit can communicate with us. Maybe you have been thinking about someone that you love in the spirit world, and somebody you're talking to here says that thing, and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe you just said that. That can also be spirit communication. It could be dreams. Lucky people talk about a dream visitation where their loved ones come to them in a dream and give them a message. There are so many ways. It could be music on the radio. You turn on the car and the radio, and all of a sudden there's that song. It's like the perfect song. Oh my God, I can't believe it. I was just thinking about my loved one, and now here's this song that always reminds me of them. So there's so many different ways that spirit can communicate with us. So one other question that I get a lot is, how do I know if it's really spirit or if I'm just making it up, if it's my imagination? And that's a legit question. It's a legit question. How do you know if we're making it up or if it's just our imagination? Well, some things are so amazing that there's no way that it could be anything else. For example, one woman that I worked with, I was talking with her about her loved one had passed, and we were talking about those last days in the hospital. And I said, why am I all of a sudden hearing Barry Manilow singing the Mandy song? You know, Barry Manilow's song, Mandy? I'm not singing it, but all of a sudden I could hear this song in my head, Mandy. And she looked at me, she goes, oh my God, my grandmother loved Barry Manilow. We listened to Barry Manilow the whole time that she was in hospice. Now, I couldn't make that up. There's no way I could have made that up. I mean, I like Barry Manilow too, but there's no way I could have made that up. So we start to understand that more information is available to us. And don't get me wrong, imagination plays a big part in mediumship. It's really where we start, is allowing our imagination to welcome a spirit communicator in from the other side, allowing this information to come in. And if it feels like it's your imagination, so what? Because that's one of the ways that spirit can actually get through our logic brain that always wants to have facts and proof and all of that, to get into the place that's more about creative thinking and allowing for those seemingly impossible things to pop into our mind, to get into in the subconscious mind and come into that the side of our brain that allows our connection to the magical and the mystical. So of course the imagination is part of it. But if you would think, well, if I was going to imagine something, would it really have been Barry Manilow? Probably not. So allowing that those things can actually be working together to help you create a link and a connection to spirit. Okay, here's a big question that I get. Why do I doubt what I'm getting? Anytime that I teach or I take other classes, this is a really popular question. Why do I continue to doubt what I'm getting? Now, I want to tell you, I have been a working medium forever. For years, I have been doing this work. And even for a really long time, even when I go to mediumship development workshops with some of the big famous people, Joe Shield, James Van Praagh, John Holland we mentioned already, Janet Noavic, I mean, some really, Mavis Patilla. And if you're in the mediumship world, these people will mean something. And if not, that's okay, don't worry. But I have been lucky enough to study with some really amazing people. And there are still times where I will say, really? Did that really just come through? Because sometimes the experience and the information is so exact and so precise that it's hard for our logic mind to believe. Did I really just say that? Did spirit really just tell me that? Did that person really just give me that information? And it's normal to have this doubt of, is this really happening? Because mediumship is not something we may necessarily have been raised with. And so it might have a little bit of fear connected to it. It might have a little bit of overthinking. And it definitely has some pieces of judging the information where we really want to quantify it or find a way to let it land on solid ground. And mediumship isn't about solid ground. Mediumship is about trust and faith in something beyond what we can see. Now, let me talk for a second about this fear part, because some people are raised in a fear of the unseen. Some religious beliefs have concerns about the fear of the unseen or talking to the dead people. And I will tell you, in all of the years that I have been doing this work, and it's a long time, never, ever, ever, ever once, and I have talked with thousands of people from the spirit world, never one single time ever has somebody ever said to me, "Oh, it's hot over here, and I should have been a better person, and this is wrong, and we shouldn't do this." Never. The messages are always messages of love, compassion, caring, self-evolution. Even if that spirit wasn't the nicest person in life and they're working it out and trying to work through some stuff as they're going forward in their spirit journey, never once has the message been anything other than love and support. The messages are not messages of anger or hate or repent or any coherent information ever about an afterlife that is about punishment. The afterlife is about learning and evolving and growing. And what did we learn while we were here? The afterlife has never come up in any kind of reading for myself or any conference or mediumship development, anything, anywhere that I've ever attended, or any other big medium who has led one has ever said anything about negative punishment, repentance, anything in the afterlife. And that's very reassuring. And I know that that can be a little bit tricky for those of us who think that, who feel that people who have done major wrongs in life should be in a place of punishment. But it gives us some peace, I think, to give us peace to know that our loved ones are not suffering. They're not in a negative place. There is not a negative place in the afterlife for our loved ones. Because surely, after all the readings that I have participated in, conducted, observed, somebody would have mentioned it by now, don't you think? So if there's fear, I encourage you to ask yourself of where that's coming from and perhaps try to put that aside, because building our relationship with spirit is truly something secret and life affirming and love building. And it can have so much to do with connecting ourselves to our higher power as well. So whatever your faith, don't overthink it. Come along for the journey and come see for yourself. Okay. One thing a lot of people ask me too is, how do I know I'm connected? What does a connection feel like? I love this question because sometimes it feels like nothing. And I just know that there's a spirit communicator there, and I'm just having a conversation the same as I may be having a conversation with anybody else. But sometimes when the spirit has stronger energy, it can feel like goosebumps or tingles all through my body. And the more I can say what that spirit is hoping that I will say, those goosebumps and tingles get stronger and stronger. So full disclosure, I'm feeling that right now because I know that the spirit world is really excited that we're going to teach this class, because there are people on the other side that are hoping that people on this side are going to show up so they can talk to you. So I can feel this tingles through the body, kind of like really positive, pleasant pins and needles. Sometimes I know pins and needles, like when your foot falls asleep, is not pleasant. This is a really pleasant pins and needles, or goosebumps, or I'll be like, oh. Or sometimes I'll even get like butterflies in my stomach if I've said the thing that a spirit communicator is asking me to say. Okay? One of the things I tell my clients at the beginning of any reading is a lot of this is like playing charades. My job is to open up to the spirit communicators and interpret what they are trying to get me to say. So while we never disrespect the work by saying, oh, we're playing with this, we talk about the play of charades because it really is about communication and building that communication with those in the spirit world. So when we say that we're playing charades, it's not about disrespect at all. It's about establishing a communication in a way that our human minds can understand it. All right. Let's talk about the practice circles. So each class will be between 90 minutes and 2 hours, starting this coming Tuesday, the 23rd. We'll start at 7 p.m. Eastern, and the classes will go between 90 minutes and 2 hours. Okay. And the reason I say that is because each class of the 6 classes is going to have practice time built in, what we call a practice circle. Okay. We're not necessarily sitting in a circle, but we are holding space for each other, and we're inviting each person to take a turn to do a reading and to bring in a communication. Now, there's no pressure on anyone to do more than they want. If they don't want to do it, that's totally fine. There's never any pressure. However, this is a safe space that we're creating, which is why we're keeping the class small. So if you're thinking about it, getting a ticket, please don't wait, because we are keeping the class small, because I want people to be able to have time in the practice circle and not feel so overwhelmed that there's so many people and I got to talk in front of them. It gets scary. So practice gives us confidence, but it also gives us the opportunity to try different things. So let's say you have a connection and you think, oh my gosh, I'm really doing it. But see, now you're in your other brain, you're in your logical mind, and then you may lose that connection. And that's okay, because you'll have the opportunity to try again. And by keeping the class small and having practice built in, gives me as the instructor the opportunity to coach you and teach you and say, well, what does this feel like? Think about this. What about this? And to be in the link with you. So practice is really important, because people say, well, I got a little bit of information, which is fantastic. And the next time you'll get more information and you'll get more information. So the practice, just like anything else, is really important for building up your confidence, building up your skills for where do I go? How do I get this information? Who am I talking to? And getting a familiarity. Let's say the first time you walked into any class, if you've never been there and you don't know anyone, you might be a little nervous to walk into a room where you don't know anybody. But the second time you walked in, you'll be a little more comfortable. And by the time you've taken 2 or 3 or 4 classes, you've got the lay of the land, you know what to expect, you know how it's going to work, and you're okay. And your confidence goes higher and your nerves go lower and your comfort level goes more higher and you relax, which allows spirit to communicate with you more. Okay, so lots of information about why it's so important to practice, which is why I wanted to build that into the structure of the class. What if I'm wrong? What if I'm wrong? Oh, well, we're going to be wrong. I'm always wrong. I mean, at least once in every session, I'm wrong. And one of the things I tell people in the beginning of any session is, I'm not God. I'm not going to get everything right. That's just being human. So we expect that there's going to be something that's incorrect. And that just means we've got to go back and get more information. Okay. So I say, oh, what if I'm wrong? I said something wrong. And it's like, oh, well, let me go and ask the spirit for more information. I didn't hear it correctly. Let me go back and ask them for more information. Can you say that to me in a different way, spirit communicator? Let's say I've got your grandmother or your sister's, whatever. And I say, she doesn't understand. The person doesn't understand. Grandmother is here. Your sister is here. I don't understand. Tell me in a different way. Okay. And I'll tell you that they will absolutely use the things that are in your mind, in your awareness, to help you say what they're trying to get you to say. I had such a funny story. I had a woman in front of me. Her father was the communicator. And he was showing me a donkey-shaped piñata. Now, these days, we can get a piñata in any kind of shape we want. But historically, when I was growing up, a piñata was always the shape of a burro, a donkey. And I'm talking to her. I'm like, it's a piñata. There's a birthday party. It's a donkey shape. And I was telling her all about the piñata and the party, but not the shape. And when I finally looked at her, I said, I don't know. I just know he's showing me a donkey shaped piñata. She went, oh, they had a pet donkey when she was a kid. Now, how would I know that? And I don't know how he would have told me that, other than he could have shown me, I guess, a donkey. But he showed me a donkey-shaped piñata because that's something that I would have understood, because I had seen those as a child. And when I said it was, finally I said, oh, a birthday, and it was kids, and there's a piñata. When I finally said it was a donkey-shaped piñata, she understood it. So spirit will use all the things that are in our own memory banks to help us communicate what they're trying to say to the person sitting in front of us. Now, here's one of the questions that I love. Can I connect with my own loved ones? Absolutely. And I love that because there's so many moments when I want to connect with my own loved ones. I want to reach out to my grandparents. I want to reach out to other people who are important to me in the spirit world. And it is a wonderful tool, if for nothing else, than to connect with your own loved ones in spirit and to recognize your own intuition and to learn to recognize your own signs and symbols when they show up in your life. Because there's something so incredibly comforting about knowing our loved ones who loved us so much while they were here are still here, loving us, supporting us, helping us, and trying like heck to communicate with us. And so we absolutely can communicate with our own loved ones. That would be one of the biggest reasons to try and take this class. So you do not need any previous experience at all. We're going to start from the beginning. We're going to be talking about the clairs. We're going to be talking about symbols, how we open ourselves up to spirit communication, how we understand what we perceive, how we share what we are receiving. And again, we will have a practice circle as part of every single class. This will also be discussion based, so it's not going to be all lecture. We want to make sure that we are opening it to answer the questions that come up as we start to communicate with spirit, as we start to go over this information. Really, it is so much about participation and discussion, and also because the people who will be your classmates will be great practice partners for you as well. And one thing I want you to not worry about is, what if I don't get anything? What if I close my eyes and I open myself to spirit and nothing happens? Then we try again another day. And that's why the class has 6 classes to it, and it's not a one and done, because nobody is going to expect that you are able to connect with someone in the spirit world just the first time out. Now, if you do, fantastic. And if you don't, that's okay. This is why we practice, right? So there is no questions that you can ask any questions you want. I know we scheduled this for 30 minutes, but if you're watching the replay and you have a question that comes up, put it in the comments. I will get it and I will absolutely put an answer back to you. So the class begins next Tuesday. It's 2:49. It's 6 weeks. It will be recorded. The recordings will be sent out to you, and we would love to have you with us. But the tickets already have sold, and we're keeping the class intentionally small. The link is in the comments, so please make sure that you are getting your ticket before we close so the classes stay small. And again, if you have any other questions, then you throw those into the comments, and I absolutely will be checking, and I will be answering them even if it's after right this minute, okay? Mediumship isn't about losing ourselves in the people who have passed. And it's not about living in our grief. It's not about becoming someone else. And taking a beginning mediumship class is not an indication that you are going to be obligated to hang out a shingle and start to become a medium. None of those things are true. Mediumship is about learning to recognize and trust the ways that spirit communicates with you, because spirit is already communicating with you all the time. When you get a great parking spot, spirit is helping you. When that light turns green, or you just know the answer of who's calling on the phone before you answer it, all of those things are part of connecting with spirit. We do this every day. This is another opportunity to expand on that, to expand our knowledge, to expand our skills, and expand the folks on the other side that we can communicate. So if you would like to continue exploring this connection, I would love to have you join us for the beginning mediumship class. You can find the link below. You can find it on my Facebook page, on my YouTube channel. It's in the comments. Please do come and join us. We would love to have you with us. And thank you for being with us today for this quick question and answer opportunity. And remember, if you can't attend all 6 classes, that is okay. The classes will be recorded. And I look forward to seeing you there. So thanks for tuning in. If you have some questions, let me know, put them in the comments, and I will make sure to get an answer right back to you. I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday.